Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, and welcome to New Life Live. So glad you are here. However you listen or watch on YouTube or listen to us on our app or Sirius XM, wherever it is. Thanks for joining us. When I say us today, that is Dr. Jill Hubbard. Hi, Jill.
Hello, Steve.
And my long-term great man of integrity and character, Dr. Jim Burns is here. Jim, hi.
Hey, Steve, great to be with you, and thanks for those kind words. Those are some of the kinder words you've ever said to me. We've known each other since we were in our 20s.
I meant more than half of those words, Jim. You can count on that. So we've got a workshop coming up with you, and it's just been so wonderful to see you delve into one of the toughest things ever. It's almost like the youth material that you wrote. Now you follow these kids, they're getting older, they're adult kids, right. And boy, do parents need help with them. So we're doing Courageous Parents, Transforming Relationships with Your Adult Sons and Daughters. Now, I have to tell you that a lot of times folks that are our supporters, they have problems. And the problems that I get are the problems with their adult children. And I love being able to help them with their adult children problems because there are answers. There is a new perspective to have. And it's almost like you need to tell a parent of an adult child, you are now going to enter not opposites day, but opposites decade. Because what you did when they were 16, you have to stop that. Talk about that a little bit, Jim.
Well, there are phases. And, in fact, when I was doing my grad work, this phase of life wasn't even suggested. It was called emerging adulthood.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the least tapped area
exactly.
in terms of having resources out there.
So I'm at Princeton in the 1970s doing my grad work, and we learned that you had children, then you had teens, and then adults. And Kathy and I were kind of that way. We graduated from college and got married. That's kind of what you did, and we had to become adults. Today we have emerging adults. So it's this group from, say, 18 to almost 30 or so who they're in a different world than, and we don't know what we're doing. Even as leaders, we've had to learn over the last couple of decades that there is this new world. They're meandering toward responsibility. They're meandering toward marriage. And when they meander, parents are going crazy with that. Okay, and they're going through all kinds of experimental behaviors, and they don't agree with us politically, sometimes spiritually, on a lot of things. So it makes Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners weird. So as parents, we have to relearn how to parent our adult children, and our adult children have to figure out how to become responsible adults. That's the goal. How do you help them become responsible adults, and how do you treat them as responsible adults?
Well, as you know, one of the most damaging things is you wake up and your children don't have your values. So the parent decides, well, I'll tell you this, if they didn't latch on to my values then, I need to teach them those values now. And it just doesn't work. It causes them to reject you and your values even more. Very tricky. But we're going to help people with that. We're doing this amazing parenting workshop online August 13th. And Jim's one of the best communicators ever. I used to just stand in awe, I sat in awe of him as we spoke all over this world together. And I'm a better speaker because of having him as an example, and I really appreciate him. So you come join us, Courageous Parents, Transforming Relationships with Your Adult Sons and Daughters. If you want to join us on this program, 1-800-229-3000. I'm going to talk to Jackie from Sacramento, California, as soon as we get back from this break. 1-800-229-3000. Or if you want some help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 15th through the 17th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Jim Burns and Dr. Jill Hubbard, and your phone calls at 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Jackie from Sacramento. Jackie, thank you for holding on. How you doing, and how could we help?
Hi. I'm great, and thank you so much for taking my call. I'm actually calling about my granddaughter. She is 16, and I was with her just yesterday, actually, and she disclosed to me that she had some issues where some touching was involved when she was like from 6 years old to 8 years old, she said. But what really brought the conversation up was her dad is my son. And he's been incarcerated for over 6 years, and he's recently been released. And during this over 6 years time that he was incarcerated, I have been like their glue, like keeping the relationship really together and everything. And she'd be the first one in the car to go visit. So he's home now, and the relationship is not taking off like I thought it was and assumed it was. So I talked to her, and I said, what's going on? Why are you not hanging out with your dad, and what's happening? And so she revealed to me that when she was 10, just one morning casually, he got in her bed with her, and I'm going to just say it like she said it, he had a boner. And she was confused by that and everything. And I said, well, why didn't she say anything? And she said she was just embarrassed to say something. So I asked her, why is that coming up now? And she says, well, he's home now, and when he hugged me, when he touched me, it triggered all of that. But fast forward to yesterday, we were talking about that, and she mentioned to me that it happened to her when she was a child. Yeah. She's 16 now. So my question now is, how do I help her? She's declining counseling. She doesn't want to talk to anybody about it. When I bring it up, I don't want to force it because I don't want our relationship to suffer from me trying to force her to talk about it. But how do I give her help or counseling? Right. And she says she's still a virgin, and no one has ever sexually assaulted her. Okay. But touching did happen.
So glad that you called us and not somebody else. First of all, why was your son in prison?
For robbery.
Okay. And, all right. How's he doing? Did he get any type of rehabilitation?
Yes. He's in rehabilitation while he was there and now.
Okay.
And just for clarification, Jackie, was he the one that also touched her from ages 6 to 8?
No.
Okay.
It was somebody on her mother's side of the family.
Okay. So.
Yes.
I want to. I'll let Jim and Jill chime in here, but I just want to encourage you not to push her toward therapy right now. You could say that Dad being out of prison kind of has her in a state of shock. It's okay for her not to want to do anything right now. I would go from trying to get her help to being her help. And the way you be her help is you just love her and you just be with her. You don't cram a lot of questions down her throat. You don't ask what she's doing to make things better. Just be with, go do something with her. Go to a movie with her or something. Take a walk, take a ride, go horseback riding. But I think a normalization of the relationship between you and her could be the link to her now wanting to get help. But she needs to know you are more on her side than her son's side. And that's got to be a really weird kind of thing. But that's what she needs to feel, that you love her no matter what. You believe her. You understand her sensitivity. Yes. And that, she probably feels so much shame and so much rejection and just different things that happen when kids are sexualized. And for you to come in and just be that great, wonderful, loving, grace-filled person, it'll make a difference. Jill, let's start with you and then Jim.
I agree. Jackie, parents and grandparents are kids' first therapists.
Amen.
And there is plenty of time for her to go to therapy in her life down the road. She's only 16. Right now, she may just be surviving this. And so I think the fact that she disclosed to you means she trusts you. And so that's really important. You don't have to have profound words to say. You just need to listen more and let her know that you're there for her. And whenever she feels uncomfortable or some feelings come up, thoughts about her dad or what happened prior to her dad, that she can come and talk to you, and you'll just let her talk and you'll listen. And you just want to do that listening and understanding. And, oh, so you felt like this, or wow, that, just really kind of empathically listening to her and letting her express. And sometimes it feels like, well, that's not really doing anything. I feel like I have to jump in and point her and help her. It actually is doing so much. And so often we want to quickly rush someone to a therapist. And I believe in therapy, obviously, because we feel inadequate. And so that's why I'm telling you, you don't have to say anything profound. Your presence and support will be so healing for her.
Amen. Jim, what are you thinking here?
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I asked her, I said, what do you want to see done about this? And she says, well, she even spoke to her mom about it. And she says, Mom says it's so old, we can't do anything about it. So I don't know if she wants something done about it or not. I mean, what can be done about it?
I've got a couple of thoughts, Jackie. First of all, I might disagree just a bit on that. When I heard she wasn't sexually assaulted, because if she was touched in any manner that made her feel uncomfortable, that's a sexual assault.
Absolutely.
And this is self-defined. So this is troubling her, and what happened with her dad when she was 10 is also troubling her. So those are, she probably did have this experience. And I love what Steve and Jill were saying in terms of, coming alongside. You are that person. She trusted you enough for you to say it. Awesome, incredible. And you're not her therapist. You're her grandma who's going to love on her. But, there's a vision you want to put out there. And the vision is she may need help in healing through this. Because when someone has been touched anyway inappropriately, they take it differently. And they take it, think of an onion peel. At, 6 to 8 or 10, it's one way. And at 16, it's another. She's become a young woman. She's gone through puberty now. She's dealing with her own sexuality. So what's the vision? The vision is it's not your fault. It's always the fault of the abuser. She's got to hear that. Now, again, you're not going to give her points, but somewhere she has to hear that. If she ever thinks, sometimes kids will say, I was 10, probably I was flirting with my dad or something. No, she wasn't. That was wrong. But then also, she will want to seek help. I always say don't suffer in silence, and yet that's exactly, she doesn't want to bring this up. This is a horrible thing. But if she was talking to a therapist or someone in ministry, they would be mandated to talk to Child Protective Services because, is considered a sexual assault. And oftentimes that process, even though no kid, hardly any kids want to do that, it's good for the process for them, for the healing process. So I think you put in front of her sometime, seek help. You're going to want to sometimes seek help on this because, again, it affects marriages. It affects intimacy. It affects their sexuality. And right at 16, they're making major decisions about their sexuality for the rest of their life, see. Then the other thing I would say is there's hope. Bring hope. But also God cares. And sometimes this is really tough, especially when it's with a male adult figure. And I don't know who touched her at 6 to 8, but, those things, how could she love a loving heavenly father when, her father maybe did something inappropriate or whatever. Now, again, I don't know the details. I'm just simply saying those are things you can put in front of her. Those are vision statements for her to hold on to through what could one day be a tough time. And I think that's important for us to settle in on. And there is a time when she probably does need to talk to somebody, to be honest.
One more thing.
And I...
Go ahead,
okay,
Jill.
I disagree that it's too late to deal with any of this.
I was going to
right?
say
let an official tell you that.
Right. I think what's happened to her, it's never too late for her to go and get help and process it. Right. And that's the most important, her mental health and stability moving forward. So that's never too late. And then, the details of it can be determined by the person that she does go and see. Yes. So that's you're planting a seed for eventually she will want to get someone.
Eventually it might be next week, it might be next month, it might be within the year, but it doesn't have to be today. But the truth is that because she's bringing it up, it may keep coming out.
And certainly with the dad, there's a lot of room for healing here, right? And understanding. Steve, go ahead.
First, I think you need to have a difficult conversation with her mother. And I think she needs to hear her mother say that this wasn't your fault, and I take responsibility for not protecting you the way I could have. Something happened to one of our kids, and I had to assure my child that was my responsibility to protect them from that, and I didn't.
But then you protect them now.
Well, right.
Right.
And the other thing that you say to your son is, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Please do not force yourself upon her or express regret that she's not coming to see you or whatever. You say, look, there's some things coming up here that have just now surfaced, and she needs the freedom to deal with that. But an adult needs to tell her at your age, at 6 or 10, you did not have within you the ability to protect yourself. And that was my job as a parent. We watched Good Will Hunting and Robin Williams saying over and over again, it's not your fault. And the impact that had, it really is important that she hears she didn't create this. Right. And somebody could have prevented it, and they didn't. And that was her mom and dad. But the dad obviously is not a man of character, and so it really was up to her mother to protect her. I think that could be one of the most courageous things that you do that might lead to a courageous act on the part of the mother that could open things up in a new way. I'm hoping and praying that would be the case.
I'm praying too. I'm hoping and praying too.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. I'm so glad. Imagine if she didn't have you. Imagine. I mean, this is why we need grandparents, and it's so sad when people cut off the grandparents. Oh my goodness, you're such a healing force. I'm so grateful that she has you there. Well, we are about to go to a break. I just want to share a couple of things with you, and then we'll go right back to our calls. But, we have a counseling and a coaching network, both. And, the counseling is much more into what's at the source of this thing that we're dealing with. It's much more of trying to get to the heart of the issue, the impacts that come from that. The coaching is much more about, now that we're here, what are we going to do? What are my options? What are the choices? And somebody helping you see what's up ahead and not telling you what to do, but letting you see that there may be some options for you that you don't see. Sometimes a coach earns every penny by telling a person, don't make that purchase until you've done this or that. Take your time. That's the value of a coach. Can really have a lasting impact. And a therapist can change the direction of your life forever. If you want either, we'll help you decide what you really need at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And before we go to this break, Dave Stoops got Making Peace with Your Father. 11 steps to do that. A gift of any amount. I will send that to your own home. We'll be back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. So glad that you're with us here today. Dr. Jim Burns, he's written this great, wonderful book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. And sometimes it feels like you're doing life in a prison with your adult children, but that's not what this book is about. It's full of hope, and it's a wonderful, wonderful book. You call us and we'll get it to you, and you can join us for the workshop we're doing, and that workshop is on August the 13th. Well, right now we're going to go back to the phones, and I'm going to have a frank conversation with Frank. Welcome to New Life. How you doing there in Lincoln, Nebraska, listening online? Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing okay. What's happening in your life today, Frank?
So, let me just start out by saying, I don't know, I have this thing where when me and my wife have a disagreement at times, I feel like I, have to have an apology at times, sometimes it's her fault, sometimes it's mine, but, even sometimes in my own self, I feel like, I feel a need to have an apology, just for my own sake, and it just is like really, it kind of makes me feel better, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'll give you an example. Recently here, we just had a situation where...
hey, Frank, real quick, there's something making a rattling noise there. I don't know if you can...
Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah, it's not rattling and it's not noisy. Thank you.
Hold on 1 second. I can.
Okay.
It's good.
Is that better now? Is that even
It's
better?
real better now. Thank you.
All
okay,
right.
so you were giving us
So-
an example.
Yeah, so the example is this. Recently we just had a disagreement where, traditionally we go to her father's church and whatnot on Father's Day. But recently our pastor of almost 20 years just took another position. And I'm thinking, okay, surely we're going to catch his last sermon here before, he retire or goes into another position or whatnot.
Yeah, right.
And I kind of left it up to her to, but long story short, we ended up going to her father's church or whatnot. And afterwards, I explained, yeah, we're here at Dad's church, but my heart was really to go to, hear pastor's last message or whatever. And, it just kind of bothered me, I guess. It wasn't her fault necessarily because, I didn't communicate it. But even after talking to her, my wife, every wife knows her husband, she tells me later on, she says, I could tell something's wrong. I feel like you want an apology from me or whatever, but, I don't know what I did wrong or whatever. And I did. She nailed it right on the head. And I feel this way sometimes, even when, it's I guess it's my fault, I guess. And I don't even know if it's my fault because I guess I have my reservations about why we didn't go there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
That's my question is how can I deal with whatever I'm feeling when I feel like I have to have these apologies.
Boy, that is such a better question than how do I get my wife to apologize when she's wrong. So I'm really glad you're asking it in that way. Jill, what are you thinking here?
Well, Frank, it sounds to me like what you are really needing is an acknowledgement of your feelings. That the apology, I think, kind of serves as that she heard you, but an apology doesn't always fit. But her hearing how something impacted you and acknowledging that you felt that way, that I think would give you more of a sense of relief and that you guys were connecting, and that because you're trying to share your feelings with her. You admitted to us that you never told her ahead of time, so how could she know? So in truth, there's nothing for her to apologize for, right? But if she were to say to you, oh, sweetheart, I wasn't aware of that. I wish you had told me, and I hear that this was really disappointing for you. That might have felt better to you. Like, oh, okay, she gets what I was feeling.
Right.
So,
right. And I guess, go ahead, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Well, in other areas in your relationship with her, does she not give you the feeling that she's heard you or seen you, and does she not validate whatever it is that you're trying to express with her?
In other areas, I could probably see that, I guess, as well, too. Like I said, I'm just trying to get to the source of it because I feel a lot of the times I'm trying to even manipulate situations just so that I can get the apologies, just so I can feel, I'll feel better, I guess, you know what I mean? It's to, it's like, man, why do I keep feeling this way,
Yeah, well, forgive me for asking the obvious question here, but tell me about your mom. Did she not listen to you? Did she not validate anything there?
So my parents divorced when I was 10. My mother passed away in 2000. I was kind of like a mama's boy, and I had I want to say I had a pretty good relationship with my mom. It came with an untimely death. Untimely, but I want to say I had a good relationship there.
Sounds like it, yeah. But it doesn't sound like you found someone that's as attentive as she was and as nurturing as a boy gets when he's his mama's boy. That could be part of our dilemma here, and we're going to talk about that more when we come back. I'm really glad that you called, Frank. You're listening to New Life Live.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. July 22nd to the 24th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And MILAN and YERKOVICH.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and we're continuing here with Frank, and both Jill and Jim have a thought or two here. Jim, you want to? Oh, go ahead, Jill, and then we'll go to Jim.
Sorry, Jim. Oh. Frank, we were curious how old you were when your mom passed away.
I was 19.
You were 19. Never easy to lose a mom. And it sounds like, as Steve was talking, that you had a really good connection with her. And when a guy then gives his heart to his wife, right, she becomes the new number one. But it would make sense that you would have that longing for her to be similar to how your mom was with you. And to fill that void in terms of the nurturing and the validation and the care. And I don't know how your dad was, but if she's less like that, I think you're missing that. And you might have to explain to her how close you were with your mom and how much you realize you missed that validation. And so you asking for an apology is often you wanting that care and nurturance.
Jim?
Wow. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it may not be about it may not be about the apology. It's about needing the care and nurture. Hey, I've got great news for you. Here's a phrase that a man named Neil Clark Warren said to me one time, and I've never forgotten it. He said, "Jim, communication is a learned trait." And so the good news to you, Frank, is that you can learn how to communicate more effectively with your wife. Obviously, you said it. You didn't tell her what you wanted on that Sunday. So she didn't know what you wanted. So I'm not sure she needed to apologize. She didn't know what you were looking for. I mean, she could say, "I'm sorry how you felt," as they talked about. But there's a couple of phrases here. One is, do you want to be right, or do you want to improve the relationship? And sometimes it's important for you to take the lead and say, and kind of man up, frankly, and say, "You know what, I was wrong. I should have let you know ahead of time. I was looking for an apology that I never really even told you what I was looking for." And then the other thing that I would say is hinting is never a form of good communication. So here's what I need, and I've said this to my wife so many times, she doesn't always meet that need. She may not meet the need, to be honest, that your mother met for you. My wife does not. She looks at life differently. But what I've realized is I can never hint or ever expect. I need to just say, "Kathy, here is what I'd like from you, if that's ever possible. And then we can have a good conversation. And sometimes when it comes to the apology is great. It's important, but it's not the most important. It's, do I want to improve the relationship? Sometimes that comes through an apology. Sometimes it doesn't.
Right. And a lot of the times, my wife is she's more black and white. I'm kind of like a little, just have to just kind of drum up my words and think about what I want to say a lot of the times. So a lot of the times, too, it's me not wanting to rock the boat with something that, she may not want to hear or whatever, things like that, So that's one of the issues I deal to, I guess, with is just the response of what I'm going to say, is it going to rock, and things like that. I try to keep peace and things like that. So,
but Frank, Frank, I want you to Google a couple of words. People pleaser. I think you ought to read about that, because I am one, and we don't like to rock boats. We don't even like the boat to even lift one way or the other. So I think that's important. And then here's the other thing. I think you ought to read about validation. Because what you need is your wife to validate your feelings without making you feel weak or less a man because you have those feelings. Now, I've got a question for you. When you're 19 years old, you're kind of a macho guy. Your mom died. Did you cry much over her death?
You're breaking up a little bit, but I think what I heard you ask me, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, did you cry a lot when your mom died when you were 19?
So I cried. I mean, I don't know what what limit it would be I need to cry at, but I did acknowledge it. It didn't happen right away. That I did, but I did grieve over her and things like that. But it wasn't like trust me, I love and everybody knew I loved my mom. When they saw my mom, they saw me because I was a mama's boy. It was nothing but love. But of course, I don't know how I may agree. I know I did cry, but to what extent, I couldn't measure it, honestly.
Well, I would just ask you to think about a couple of things. One is maybe that you didn't fully grieve the loss, and so now you have some needs that she was able to fulfill, and they're not being fulfilled with your wife. And if you fully could grieve that loss, maybe that would help cry some more tears. But the other thing is, I just think you need to ask your wife to listen to you, reflect back to you of what you've said, and validate that she gets it, that she understands why you'd feel that way. I think that's what you're really wanting. Validation is the word of the day here, and it's not unrealistic to ask a spouse to validate what I'm saying. Help me know that you know what I'm trying to say here. Okay?
Gotcha.
And I'm going to send you a great book. Milan K. wrote this book, How We Love, and I think you'll find you and your wife, your mom, everybody's in there somewhere. I think you're going to like it, How We Love. Okay? And
That's great.
God bless you,
Appreciate it.
Frank. You hang in there,
Thank you.
okay? All right. Speaking of God blessing or hanging, Larry Sonnenberg is right there in the studio with us. Larry, how you doing?
Doing good today, Steve. Thanks very much.
Well, what, you weren't yesterday, or what?
No, I was a little down yesterday.
Okay. All right, we're going to try to help pick you up here. What do you have for us?
Well, it's a repetition of what I do when I come in.
Well, we're used to that.
Yeah, and it's not getting better. So here we go. A testimony to encourage folks to give.
Great.
We are so blessed by your ministry and your daily program. When I discovered my husband on the computer looking at very inappropriate websites years ago, I knew just what to do. He got the help he needed through the Every Man's Battle workshop. It was just the beginning of building our marriage. Today, he can be trusted. He says what he means, where he's going, etc. Previously, every move was suspect. I can't put it into words, the joy that fills my heart related to your help. Your books have been awesome, as is the interaction on your program between the radio hosts. I love you all. Thank you so much. So,
That's
folks,
so wonderful.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
you know, we help people when they get into a real bind and mix, and we help them prevent that bind and mix as well.
Mhm.
And that's what happened here. She knew what to do. He was straying, and she knew what to do. She got into every man's battle and made all the difference in the world for that marriage. And so that means their family is different. Their church life is different. Their work life, their neighbor life. I mean, it's different. And that's what the Holy Spirit does when folks take that first step. And that's what we're here to encourage folks to do.
Well, Larry, thank you for that. And I want to be sure people know what Larry's saying here. He's showing you the results of your support for this ministry.
Amen.
We cannot do it without you. We've never been able to do it in any other way than a partnership. And so please support us, and we can match whatever you give. We will match that, and then we'll send this wonderful book that either you or maybe your kids need to read it, Making Peace with Your Father.
And Steve, that match, the beginning of the week, this is a recorded program. And so the beginning of the week, when we recorded this, we were at about 308,000 that we still needed to have matched.
Okay.
And I'm hoping it's under 300 by now, but we'll see. So help us if you can, please.
You know, Larry, I never cease to be amazed at just how caring you are, how much you are moved by people changing. And long ago, when you came to this ministry, you pretty much thought people should just get their act together, and you should just say, okay, you need to stop that, get over it, stop that, and then you won't have any more problems. But it has been an evolution of compassion that I've seen, and I just think it's because you can't ignore the kind of hard work people do and where they go. They go to places they never dreamed they could still go, and intimacy in that marriage be so strong. So I love your story of how you really came around from being the superficial Christian that you were. No, I'm just saying it has all of us transformed. You know, all of us do it, and we all love seeing people change and be transformed, but no one more than you, and that's one of the things I appreciate about you so much.
Well, thanks.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you can help us, please call us. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll take a break, come right back with more of New Life Live.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
After 7 years, he just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., July 8th through the 10th. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back and glad you're with us. You know, Hebrews 10:23 says, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful." God never lets us down. Sometimes we misinterpret what he does, but he's always acting for the greater good. He loves us. He is rich in mercy. Let's go to Emily. She's calling from Little Rock, Arkansas, listens on Sirius XM. Emily, how can we help today?
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm calling because my husband quit his job of 10 years in February. Since then, he's held down 3 different jobs. He quit the first one, or the one in February, because said he was afraid they was going to fire him due to his age. Now he came up today and said that because of the price of gas, he just doesn't think he's going to keep looking for a job. This is not the first time he's done this, okay? I had to hold down 2 jobs before in the past. I've got PTSD from this, just to let you know. He does have health issues, and he has to have insurance. I'm a Christian, you know, and I feel like he needs to work. He gets angry when I say, just get a job. I don't care what you get, just get a job. Something's better than nothing.
Right.
And I know as a Christian wife I'm supposed to respect my husband, but I cannot respect him.
I'm
Please
so
help.
sorry. Yeah. Oh, that's got to be so tough. And I was just talking with our group here about how hard it is when somebody doesn't do their share in the relationship. So the question, I guess, is how do you have the best chance of him being different when it comes to work? Is that right?
Yes. How do I I try to encourage him. How do I get him to understand that he's sabotaging us as well?
Yeah.
I mean, we're in our 60s. Don't get me wrong, okay?
Right. Okay.
But I can't respect him.
Right. Okay. Well, let's start with Jim. Jim, what are you thinking here about a woman? She can't respect the man. He doesn't even want to work.
Yeah, I would actually get him and you to go talk with a moderator, and I would actually go to a male this time. Usually, I oftentimes think Jill, I think some of the finest counselors are women, and I tend to go that direction with a lot of people. But I would go to a male and I would share your hurt, and that way you're not talking just face to face with him. You've tried that, but I would get the help with someone else and see what they would have to say to that, because I think they could help you get that across to him. Sometimes I find that when a couple is at they're just stopped, if they'll go get some encouraging help, and again, it could be a counselor, it could be your pastor, but somebody that he respects, let them do a little work on him as well, because it's time for him to get back to work. And again, you're right. Whatever he does, he just needs to go get a job. That's something that's meaningful. He's not ready to retire yet. It didn't sound like he has major health issues. So for me, the answer, it may not work, but the very first thing I would do is I would go directly to a counselor, a pastor, someone who could help you think through that process. But I would do it together, not just you going.
Well, hold on. Let's see if we can find that person that would be appropriate in your area. A lot of resources there in Little Rock. I want to send you 2 things. One, I want to send you Every Man's Bible. A lot of women tell us their husbands never read the Bible until they got that one, because it's designed so well for men. And then let me send you The Soul of a Hero that Dave Stoop and I wrote. It really is an invitation to men to become the man God created you to be. God wants you to be a hero. Wants you to be a hero to yourself and your own soul, but then to the others also. But we'll send that to you. Well, I was just thinking, Jim, you and Larry have a history together, and Larry's still with us. And you, talk about this interesting situation of a pastor who needed help.
Yeah. Well, this pastor I respect greatly because he had the courage to get the help. But I remember a phone call I gave to Larry, and I said, Larry, I just got a call from a pastor's wife who her husband had just been caught at church online with pornography. What do you do? And I said, is there any way to help him get into a Every Man's Battle experience? And Larry kind of steered me through that and when and how and when the next one was. And actually, they got on a plane and they went. It was a pretty cool story. And fascinating enough, the man did the work, and he found help and the resources that he needed. He had never heard of New Life, and he had never heard of the book Every Man's Battle, but he went. And his wife also got help because she was talking to other women who were experiencing this. And the long story is that he did the work, and he was fired from his job in the church, and he was driving a bus for a long time. He went back into the church because his story, his pain, became a part of his testimony and became a part of the strength of his relationship with God. People took a gamble, sure. They brought him back into the church, not the same church. And I happened to be, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking at a church in Oklahoma where his son is. And his son said to me, kind of very emotional, thank you so much for my dad's experience, because my dad is a new person. And that's what happens when someone has the courage to go and get the help. And that's the beauty of New Life, is that people can come and get help, and it's transformation. You were talking about giving. This is where it moved me. I give toward transformation. When Kathy and I take a look at who we're going to give to, we give toward ministries that are going to have transformation. And we hear this every day right now at New Life. But that story, I just think it's the most beautiful story. He's a pastor in a church again.
Wow,
he's getting the help.
been
He's in accountability. He's getting the counseling he needs. And this has been a number of years ago. He didn't just, okay, now I'm healed, now I'm going to go back into the church. He needed to work through that process. But he learned accountability. He learned the skills at that event and then continued it in accountability to this day. And look at that, now to the next generation. The Bible talks about we inherit the sins of previous generations, but there's also the transitional generation of making a decision to stop going in that negative way and go in the positive way. And now it's affecting his children and his grandchildren in a positive way. It's a part of his life. How beautiful.
Well, and I'm guessing he really got to what was underneath that was driving this sinful behavior.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
that really helps you then to get past the shame. Just like with Emily's husband. There's something that's driving him to not want to work. There's shame or something.
Right, and you have to go through pain. I always say before freedom comes pain. And sometimes we have to face that pain. And that's probably what Emily's husband's going to have to do.
Right, exactly.
One word there that you used, Jim, that we pass over too lightly. You said it takes courage, or he had the courage. Now, there are a lot of men that have a problem, and they listen to this program, and they think, I could never do that.
Right.
I could never confess this to my wife, whatever you think. And then you miss out on being God's man that he wants you to be. Here, God restored this guy. He's a pastor again. He went through the process. I'm telling you, if you don't have the courage, then you need to get someone on your team that can give you a little bit of a courage booster, that the two of you together could figure out, here's how you're going to make that call. Here's how you're going to open up to your wife. But it really just requires one thing, a willingness to talk to somebody else. Maybe it's not the big thing, the source or the treatment, but it's another person. Help me get help for me. Help me break through my fear. That's what maybe unlocks a lifetime of shame into a whole life of purpose and meaning. And we've been so fortunate, 35 years, to just see it over and over again. Well, Larry, thank you for being in the studio here with us today. Jim, thank you for coming by. Dr. Jill, thank you so much. To all of you who listen, watch, and pray, thank you. Thanks for supporting us. If you can help us or need help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.